Hello and welcome back to Angular 2 Masterclass with Alejandro Rangel. In this video, we will talk about the structural directive. This is the second type of directive that Angular 2 offers to us, and it's related with modifying the DOM. So this kind of directive will affect directly to an H1. We can remove it, we can do a loop and then iterate through a list of elements and so on. So it's important to mention that this kind of directives are different from the previous one, the attribute directive, that style changed the CSS of the DOM. So remember that, okay? So as always, Angular offers to us many built-in directives. In this case, the most common will be ng-for, ng-if, ng-switch. For those that doesn't know about Angular at all, it's the ng stands for Angular, and it's just a prefix for the custom built-in from Angular 2. In Angular 1, it was exactly the same prefix, so it should be familiar for those that already know Angular. Okay, so how can we work with the built-in structural directive? Basically, we can take any element from the DOM and apply the structural directive like it's in the slide. So in the first example, we have asterisk, ng-if, and hero. That means that this div will be on the screen only if the hero variable is true or it's defined. If not, Angular will take care of removing this div from the DOM. In the second case, we have a asterisk ng-for, and this is going to be like a loop, a regular loop. Yeah. So we will have an array of heroes, and in every iteration, we will create a div that will display the current hero. Two things to remember here. We need the asterisk. This is mandatory from Angular, and it's a way for Angular to know that this is a structural directive, that this is a template, yeah. And also remember the hash, the sharp. Yeah, we talked about it before in other videos, and this means hero is a local variable for every iteration. Yep. So before entering in the topic of custom structural directive, these are the ones that we are going to write on our own for extending the structural directives that are built in. Let's make an example with Plunker, pretty simple. Yeah. So we open Plunker as always. We go to Angular 2, TypeScript. Okay. We go to the live preview. So this is our main component, and let's create an array of cars. In our example, I want to work with cars, so this is going to be an array. So we have several brands like Toyota, Ferrari, Fiat, BMW. So this is the array of our brands, and we want to display them in the screen for the user. So we could do an unordered list. Yep. And we can take the advantage of iterating with the custom the directive from Angular. Yeah. So we have ng-for sharp car of cars, and then we use interpolation for printing the cars. So let's see the final result. Yes, so this is a built-in directive from Angular, yeah, and we iterate every time, and we create a li element every time that we have a car. We create a local variable and we print the final value. Let's play also with the ng-if. Okay, in this case we can do something like this: ng-if name. Okay, everything is working exactly the same. So we have if the variable name is defined, we will print the h2. What happens if name is not defined, right? So we can put here undefined. Yeah, then we don't print the h2. So these are the built-in directive from Angular. There are many more, so you can take a look on the documentation, but it's pretty important to remember that we have the hash and the use of local variables. Okay, the asterisk and the hash. Okay, so let's come back to the slides, and now we have custom structural directive. In this case, this kind of directive are going to modify the DOM also, but they are going to be written by us because maybe we don't have all the options from Angular, right? So let's imagine that we want to write a structural directive that iterates through an array of numbers. So we tell to Angular iterate 5 times. Okay, how can we do that? Okay, if we take a look in the slides, we have a new directive that is for range. This is not from Angular. Again, I repeat, this is a directive that we will write from scratch, and it will receive one value that is going to be the number of iterations that we want to do the loop. And also we will have an index, so in every iteration we know if it's the first time, the second time, the third time that we are iterating through these values. Okay, so how do we write a structural directive like this? It looks very complex, but it's what we have been doing so far in the full class. Yeah, so first we have to import several stuff to make a structural directive. The directive inputs, because remember that the input will be to take any values from outside of our directive. Then we have the template ref. This is going to be the reference of the template that we want to iterate. For example, if we have the ng4 in a li, the li will be the template ref. This is what we want to repeat several times in a loop, right? Then we have the view container ref. This is the parent element. Yeah. Then we have the view. This is important. This is a final element that we are going to do, and then embedded view. Okay. Good. All this is imported from Angular core. Next to it, yeah. So we are here. Next, we have to, as usual, use the decorator directive, to tell to this class that we are working with directive. We have a selector. In this case, the selector is for range. This is the name of our directive. Then we have the add input. This is the value that we will receive to indicate the number of iterations that we want to do. We will call a function that we will create that is a render. This function will receive the value, the number of iterations, and then we have in the constructor the values that we have to inject. Angular will take care of putting an instance of all this. And this is very important. It doesn't matter the logic for us in this particular case of how do we create the for range. This is just an example for teaching you, but the most important is that we create something with the template. We pass the variables, and then we insert this in the embedded view. The embedded view will be the parent. So just take a look in the code, one moment. But this is a logic to create a view and repeat several times on it, okay? And finally, the last line, the view.setLocal, this is a way that we can put a variable in our templates. Yeah, so when we are using this directive, we can access to this local variable every time that we do an iteration in the for range. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying here. We can expose a local variable from our directive, and the name is index. How this looks in our DOM if we use this directive? Oh, sorry. Let's go back again once we read the code. So this is how it looks. So we have an li, we are using the directive or range, we are passing a value that is pager.pages. We will see this in a full application that we will do later. And take a look, we are accessing to a variable index, and this will give us the index from every iteration. So this is how we create custom structural directive.